Hello everybody and welcome back to today's video of DIY investing. It's alt season! I swear to God guys, I have never been so excited in all of my time trading. This reminds me exactly of the same setups that I remember seeing back in 2016 before we had the stupid parabolic run all through 2017. Charts are setting up and they look absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited to bring you guys today's video. Today we're going to be taking a look at 3 altcoins that I expect to give you guys a 10x return on investment. 10x return is stupid profits, and it's something that I've been able to do personally and I've been able to do for people close to me, and I'm super excited to bring you this video today because I'm looking to do the same for you. If you guys find this video helpful at any point, do myself a favor and leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more updates in the future. If you guys love my analysis and want to see more of it, do yourself a favor and click the invitation link in the description below, and there you're going to be able to find my Discord server. Currently there's about 70 members inside of there and more growing every single day. With that being said, thank you guys so much for all of the support, and my lack of uploading has been atrocious. I'm sorry, but we've got great things coming and I'm so excited to have you a part of this team. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start off today's video, I wanted to go ahead and talk about Bitcoin. Obviously, that's what I usually start off these videos with. Give you guys a quick update with what I'm seeing inside of this market, because there's actually been a lot of really exciting things going on that I want to talk about. So to start off this video, I'm going to go ahead and just label my wave count for Bitcoin, kind of where I see it going in the short term, where I kind of see it topping out, because since my last update, we've had a lot of bullish movement inside of this market. A lot of the alts have been mainly dropping or consolidating. There's been a couple of them popping off, but for the most part, Bitcoin's really just been the driver of all of this value, so it's important that we stop and take a look here. So I'm going to dive in. Currently, we're on the daily time frame, and I'm just going to go through and label my Elliott waves. So this little bottom that we had here was our 1 wave. And now we've been working on the 3 wave, which took us to here. And then I thought that we might get a retrace down to about the 4,700 to 4,900 area. And in fact, we didn't. We ended up just selling off and going straight back up on the upside. So based off of my wave count, we finished the 1, we finished the 3, and now we're working on the final 5 wave up in this Elliott wave sequence. Now, the thing about this market is, during my last updates back down in here, I told you guys how my target was 55. And in fact, we've hit that target, which hit us at about right here. And the thing is, we're still impulsing. Now, I've taken the majority of my profits in here. I do have some long-term Bitcoin that I just hold on to. But the thing is, we're actually impulsing higher, and I do expect us to go much higher than my initial target of 5,500. In fact, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we come up and tag up here at about 65, and even up here into 6,800. These are going to be my next 2 targets that I'm watching for. It's very possible that we stop out a little bit early, maybe at about 6,200. And so this is really just the zones that I'm watching for into this final 5 wave impulse. With this 5 waves can sometimes get very parabolic, and other times they might just kind of peter out at the end. So we're just going to have to watch and see. However, now is a very parabolic time in Bitcoin. I do expect a lot of these altcoins to start getting some momentum in this market, whether it comes at the end of the 5 wave retrace, which most likely happens when it comes to these alts. I've seen that a lot of times. What happens is Bitcoin will make its 1, its 3, and its 5 wave impulse, and the alts will just kind of be stagnant. They won't really move. Some of them might pop off a little bit, make their first little waves, but for the most part, they're not really moving. And Bitcoin just keeps the volume down. It doesn't share any to the altcoins, and so it kind of holds them back until the very end of the 5 wave, when Bitcoin starts to top out. That's when the money starts leaving Bitcoin and starts to actually flood into some of these altcoins. And so that's kind of what I'm expecting here. I don't expect this cycle to be any different. I am very bullish with Bitcoin at this point. The fact that we're continuing to bounce higher and impulse after my initial target of 55, that shows that there's a lot of demand in Bitcoin, and it's also playing out accordingly to my gold comparison that I had a couple months back. Back down here, I told you guys how I expected the bottom to be in, based off of the accumulation cycle between gold from the 1970s to early 2000s, and how Bitcoin was following it perfectly. And in fact, we're starting to see that strong bullish growth that I was expecting, and it's even more bullish than I thought. So that's going to be very strong overall. Based off of this wave count, it's looking like this 5 wave is going to be very impulsive. My personal target for this is going to be 62, 65, and 68. I would not be the least bit surprised if we come up here to tag 65 and 68. In fact, I think that that's a good probability we could do that. Based off of this, it's looking like this initial move with sharp sell-off was the 1. We're working on the 3, which I think should take us somewhere up into here. And then we'll have the final 5 wave, which could take us to 65, could take us to 68. It could even go all the way up to 73 in the high 7s, or in the low 7s, but I'm really not expecting that. That'd be a little bit crazy. For the most part, like, I'm already out of most of my short-term my short-term Bitcoin positions. I've taken profits and moved those into my altcoins, and so for the most part, I'm just kind of watching this. Sucks that I didn't hold a little bit more and I didn't set my targets higher, but what do? I've found the best strategy you can have is to stick to your strategy in the first place. A lot of times I would change up my strategy, switch up last second, and anytime you're changing your trading plan, you're not going to be consistent with your trades. And so my analysis said 5,500 was my target. We hit that, I'm out, and now I'm just watching how things unfold. So you guys can do what you want. This is just my analysis moving forward with Bitcoin. It's just to give you guys an update with what I'm expecting there. Next, we're actually going to dive in, and I want to show you guys 3 coins that I am very excited about. These are 3 coins that I expect to do a 10x return, and along with that, I expect them to start making those moves very soon. So first on the list today is going to be Tezos. Now, many people are very hyped about this coin. They have a die-hard community. Not only that, but they're a very solid coin from a fundamental perspective. And so this is one that I'm watching for a couple reasons. Now, first off, one of the most successful patterns I've ever found when it comes to trading cryptocurrency, and one of the earliest cycles that you can find, is this pattern right here. You have a big impulse, and then you have a strong ABC retrace, and the C leg ends up breaking support of what once was our trending support, and then we make a new low into price discovery. Now, many people, this scares them out of the market. They don't want to touch it. As soon as they see us break our support levels and we start going into price discovery, everybody's out. They don't want anything to do with these coins. But in fact, I found that these exact setups are often some of the most profitable when it comes to the next cycle to come. And I'm actually going to show you guys a comparison with this cycle to one that you guys are all very familiar with, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. But until then, Tezos is looking excellent for a couple reasons. One, we finished a very strong ABC retrace. This retrace was a really strong seller, and on top of that, we hit this accumulation bottom, this kind of rounded bottom formation, and look at all the volume that's been coming into it. Now, we had more volume come in at this initial sell-off to break through support than we did the entire last cycle. Now, even though that's sell volume, that's still a very good indication that there is money flooding into this market. So there's significantly more volume in the sell-off than there was the entire cycle up. So that tells me that there's a lot of new money flooding into this. On top of that, look at the accumulation that was happening just inside of here in the initial sell-off and even into the bottom. There's still significantly more volume in here than there was the last cycle. So there is new money in this market. Now, on top of that, we actually started the impulse and breakout out of this bottom. Now, once that happened, we started to see a lot of volume coming in here. In fact, almost just as much volume as the initial sell-off. However, these are buyers entering this market. So based off of this is a very good hold. Now, I'm not saying that you should jump in and buy this right now because I do expect us to have a retrace coming up, but it doesn't change the fact that this is a coin that is on my radar, and it's one I will be watching and looking to accumulate once we start getting a little bit of selling pressure coming back into this. Based off of my wave count, it's looking a little something like this. Let me pull out my Elliott waves. This was the one wave that we had down here in the bottom, and then we had the 1, we had the 3, we had the 5, so this was the 3 wave, and now we're working on the final 5 wave. Now based off of this, my target is going to be this lower high that we had right here. This is going to be my final 5 wave target. Keep in mind, guys, it could impulse higher, and we could see something even up into here. I don't find this as likely. There's a couple targets that I'm watching for this cycle, and these are going to be my 3 right here. Based off of how impulsive this is going right now, I'm just going to be watching these 3 levels. Obviously, my first target is where I think that we'll start to see some sell pressure come in, and then we could see a drop back down to about this level, the $1.10 to even the $1.30 region. Somewhere right around there is where I would start looking to accumulate. But with that being said, it's not really what I'm watching for a whole lot right now. I'm just kind of waiting to see when we do get that strong sell pressure. But for the most part, this is a very good cycle. Now I'm actually going to show you guys why I believe this is such a great cycle compared to one of the older coins that we all know of. And it's one that I'm actually super, it's one of the coins that we all know of. Now this coin is called Ethereum. Now let me go through here, remove all my drawing tools, and we're going to go way back in the day, to before the first cycle. Now this cycle here is what I'm watching for with Tezos. What we saw was, don't mind this big sell that we had right here. This is kind of just what happens sometimes when coins get added to exchanges. But this is what I'm watching for. Once Ethereum got added and it was established a bottom, we made this big sharp parabolic run. Now this cycle is going to be a little bit less defined than Tezos because there's less money in the crypto market at this time. You got to remember, Bitcoin hadn't even made its run that we saw back in 2017, so there wasn't millions of dollars that were, or there wasn't billions of dollars that was flooding into this market. So it's not going to be quite as defined, but it doesn't change the fact that the pattern stays the same. Now what happens is we get a strong retrace, and then we ABC retrace back down. Now this breaks support of what we once had and goes into price discovery before we start the next impulse up. Now this is actually what I'm watching for Tezos. I'm expecting us to get a nice impulse to finish out the 1 wave before we actually start a completely new cycle. And this cycle is going to go very parabolic in my opinion. I see a lot of hype around this market, and not only that, but a lot of very top traders are talking about this coin, which is always a very good signal that this is one that you could see a lot of upside or potential upside to come. So this is Tezos. This is first on the list today. Wanted to give you guys a quick update with that and why I am watching it and really why I'm so excited about it. Next on the list is another coin I'm sure you all know, and if you don't, it's fine. I will go over it today. This is Stellar Lumens. Now Stellar is one that I actually had the opportunity to make a lot of money and make people close to me a lot of money back in here in this final 5 wave that we saw right here. Had people accumulating at this bottom, and then things went super parabolic and pulled a 50x. And it was a very cool time. It was a very profitable time at that. Same pattern, same setup, and I am excited about it. So one thing that I've noticed with these altcoins is they go through a 3-cycle setup. Not all of them, but a lot of them do this. And so this is a pattern that you guys should keep note of and watch out for. Now, the pattern goes as followed. You have what I call the blow off top, where prices go super parabolic and start the decline. And then you go into the next cycle, which I call accumulation distribution. And that would be right here. And this is where people think that prices are going to keep going up. This is where people start to get invested again. And people think that, oh man, the trend is still intact. We're trending, making higher lows. This is going to go back up again. And in fact, it doesn't. And we have one final sell-off, which brings me to the next point. This is the final sell-off. And this is really when you want to be buying, because this is where the smart money buys the dip before the next cycle. And then what happens? Prices shoot out of here, and then we go for another parabolic cycle up. Now, the reason why I bring this pattern up is because we're seeing the exact same thing happen once again inside of this current cycle with Stellar. And so I'm watching this because it's the same setup I made a lot of money on back a couple years ago. And I don't see why the same cycle isn't going to play out again, so I'm looking to accumulate in this time. It's the same sort of thing. You have the 3-part cycle where you have the blow off top, you go into accumulation distribution, and then you have the final sell-off. And then this is where you want to be buying and taking positions. And so this is what I'm watching out for, guys. We have nice accumulation volume coming in here at this really low point, which is always a key indication that smart money is buying the dip. On top of that, if I go in here and analyze some things, I'm going to delete this so you guys can see a little bit better. If I go in here and analyze a few things, this looks to me like an inverse head and shoulder reversal pattern. Now, this is a pattern that you see at the very bottom or at the very top of a trend. In this case, it's an inverse, meaning it's coming at the end of a bearish trend reversal. So what we need to see is for prices to break out of this shoulder resistance at about 13 cents, right around that area. We need prices to confirm that this is what's happening. And based off of my wave count, it's looking like it's going to. This was the 1 wave. We're retracing into the 2. We might drop a little bit lower, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter before we start to see a strong impulse back up to break. And I would expect us to take us up into this area here before we go higher. And so it'll turn out a lot something like this, where you have the 1, you have the 3, then you have the 5. And so I'm watching for this same cycle to kind of play out accordingly. And based off of the wave count, it's looking like it will have a retrace, and then we'll shoot up for some of these highs up in here. And so this is kind of what I'm watching out for Stellar. One thing that's got me super excited is the fact that if you were to buy right now and hold just to all-time highs, you're looking at about an 800% return or an 8x return. And that's only to all-time highs. Now, assuming that this pattern plays out again and we go for a new cycle up into price discovery, what's to say that you're not going to get a 10x return? Because it only has to break all-time highs and go a little bit higher just to give you that 10x return. And so I'm watching this. I'm accumulating in this time. I actually made about 50 bucks off of referring some friends to take a quiz about Stellar. And so I actually got $50 free worth of Stellar back down in here, and I'm just going to hold it. $50 isn't a lot, but when that 10x is, that's a lot more than you had at $50. So I'm excited about this one. I made a lot of money back in here, and so I wanted to give you guys this update and let you know kind of what I'm seeing with Stellar Lumens. This is a coin that is going to take off, in my opinion. We got good volume coming in here. You have Bitcoin that's really just you got Bitcoin that's really taking off in this time, and so there's really nothing telling me that this coin is dead, that this coin's just going to fall off the face of the earth. So I'm doing my part by buying positions in this time, and you guys can do what you want. I'm merely just giving you guys my own analysis. This is not financial advice by any means. This is just what I'm doing personally. Alright guys, so last on the list is Tron. Now this is one I'm actually really excited about because it's painting a really good risk to reward ratio. And not only that, but it also reminds me of a cycle that I had the opportunity to make a lot of money on as well. And so similar setups, I've made money in the past. I'm going to go with my gut. And not even my gut, I'm just going to go with what's worked for me in the past, and I'm just going to apply it to what's happening now. And see if I can make some money in the future. So this is kind of what I'm watching out for, guys. Tron is a coin that has a lot of hype around it. It has a lot of die-hard supporters in this market. And so oftentimes when you see these coins that have a lot of supporters, you constantly have new fundamental reasons to be buying as far as upgrading their platform, upgrading their projects, all the things. It's always a good sign that this coin is going to take off again. When even these other coins that don't add anything to their blockchains, they don't really improve anything, they still go up. And so if you find a coin that you see the devs actively upgrading it and they're constantly looking to improve it, that's always a good project to be in, regardless of what your beliefs are around it. Because me personally, I'm not really a fundamental trader. If I see a coin with good fundamentals and I really get a good feeling about it, I'll jump in it and keep some change tucked away for the long haul. But for the most part, I'm just looking at these simple market cycle patterns. I'm looking at patterns that have worked and played out in the past, and I'm applying them to what's happening now. Now, based off of Tron, we had a strong ABC retrace, 5 waves down, and now we had our first initial bounce out of these lows. We have some good volume coming in here, but this is kind of what I'm watching out for, is the fact that we have finished a 1 wave. So this is the 1, this is the 3. Oops, forgive me, I did that wrong. This is the 1, this is the 3, and this was the 5. And then we had an ABC retrace, a little bit different ABC. This is where the B leg goes over the C. This is where the B leg actually extends up to almost a new high. But now we're kind of at this consolidation period. Now right here, look how much volume is coming in at this very bottom of this retrace. That to me is a very strong indication that there's money flooding into this, obviously. And so I'm watching right now because it's also doing another reversal pattern, the great inverse head and shoulder pattern, with the right shoulder having the most volume, which is exactly what you want out of a reversal pattern, specifically the head and shoulder. You want the right shoulder to be showing a lot of strength, and that's actually what is happening now. Now, I want to compare this exact pattern to one that I saw back in the day, and this is the great Ethereum once again, only this time we're actually going to drop it to a Bitcoin pair and show you guys what I mean. So let me remove all my drawing tools here. Right, let me drop it a little bit shorter time frame. Got the 12-hour, and now we're going to go take a look at this. Now, this, to me, is the exact same setup. I actually bought a bunch of Ethereum back in here, had the opportunity to make some money on the initial impulse up, but this is the exact same thing I'm seeing right here. You have the first low, you have the low of the move, you have the first impulse up, you have the retrace, and then this is where prices kind of find support and they don't break any lower. And then you have what I call kind of like the shakeout, or you could call it a 1 wave, because this was a 1 wave before we went higher. But this is where you see prices kind of look like they're going to break out, and then they have a sharp sell-off that drags them almost a full retrace. Now this is where people watching this, they FOMO into this, and then it sells off, and then they capitulate their positions, and then they kind of forget about it before the real impulse. So I call this the final shakeout of the move, but I see this exact pattern happening inside of Tron. You had the low of the move here. You have prices kind of find support in this region, and then you have the retrace, and then you have this fake out where prices start to go up, people think that it's breaking out, and then you have a sell-off back on the downside right before we start the next move up. And so kind of what I'm watching for this is something like that. I think that we should see a nice impulse. And based off of this head and shoulder, my targets are actually going to be up here, about right there, at about 5 cents. And then I think that we'll go higher from there. And so this is kind of what I'm watching out for. I'm watching to see how we're going to react down here. I do expect us to see higher highs, and so I'm actually taking buying positions in this time. This is a low. I do see a little inverse head and shoulder playing out right here. We have good volume coming in. On the big picture, inverse head and shoulder as well. Got lots of volume coming into this right shoulder, and so I'm expecting this to be a very good performer based off of my comparison with Ethereum back in the day, and we all remember what happened with Ethereum shortly after. Very parabolic cycle, and I'm expecting this to be the same. Now, one thing I can say is this is a very good risk to reward ratio. If you buy today and hold just to the all-time highs, you're talking about 11x return. That is a very good return on investment, especially with how much volume coming in, especially with what Bitcoin's doing. You got a nice reversal pattern coming at the terminal end of an ABC correction. That to me is just a very good setup in my opinion. Obviously, these are all just my own opinion, but this is what I'm doing. I'm super excited about this. I mean, it's awesome that you can hold a coin just to the all-time high and then make a 10x, 11x return on investment. With all that being said, guys, it's important to note something with Tron and most of these altcoins for that matter. This is just a 1 wave. And what's coming next is the 3 wave. And the 3 wave is the most impulsive, the most parabolic of all of the Elliott waves. And so it's really no reason for me to try and predict an accurate target with this, because the thing is, guys, when a coin breaks all-time highs and we go into price discovery, nobody really knows how high it's going to go. There could be so much FOMO involved with this. You could see a 100x return similar to what we saw with Ethereum. You could see a 1000x return. Sometimes that happens as well. And so it's really hard to say. One of the best things that you can do, though, is, for me anyways, and what I'm doing, is I'm looking to accumulate these 1 waves. These 1 waves are going and setting up for the most parabolic cycle, and so my risk to reward is going to be much greater in that exact setup. And so for me, I'm buying and I'm accumulating in this time. I'm just going to hold on to this and really kind of watch and see what happens, because Bitcoin's the leader. With these cryptos, I watch Bitcoin more than I watch these altcoins, but I still watch the altcoins because they are painting very profitable setups compared to Bitcoin. And so anyways, guys, this is just really what I wanted to show you. I wanted to give you guys a quick analysis on 3 coins. I know it's been a long time since my last upload. I apologize for that, but you guys can expect more uploads to come from me. I am very, very hyped about what is happening inside of Bitcoin. I am very hyped about what is happening in these altcoins, and we're setting up for a very profitable cycle, and I'm super excited to have you guys a part of this. If you guys enjoy my analysis and you would like to see some further analysis that I post, feel free to join my Discord server down here, DIY Investing. I will have an invitation link in the description below of this video. Click on that, it'll redirect you to here, and there you can jump in with all of my members. I've got good discussions with a lot of different people in here. I post my charts and analysis. I post lots of charts and analysis, different entries and whatnot, so that you guys can come in here and you can actually start profiting. And not only that, but just see what I'm doing in this next cycle. Currently, we have about 70 members, and it's continuing to grow every single day. So I'm super excited about what I have going here, and I'd love to have you on board with this. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, do myself and this channel a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel below. Thank you guys so much. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.